Hi students, welcome back to the next topic. In this topic, we are going to discuss about how the food what we have taken during nutrition provide energy. Okay, that is after the digestion, the absorbed food, how it is used to provide energy, and that energy is used to run various life processes. That is what we are going to discuss today. So whatever the food is, whether it is simple food or complex food, how does it provide us the energy? So that process is called as respiration. That is what we are going to discuss. The process of respiration, one of the very important vital life processes, the respiration. So the respiration, the basic respiratory process is same in plant and as well as animals. Not like nutrition. Nutrition, there are different type of nutrition. But respiration, not that much diverse types. Let us see that what are the various types of respiration. Okay, the topic is respiration. The human respiratory system we can see over here. So definition of respiration. So it is an oxidation of food substances with the release of energy. The food is oxidized and the energy is released. Okay, let us see that how does it work. So here there are basically two types of respiration. Some organisms, they use oxygen to break down the substrate to release energy. That is called as aerobic respiration. Such organisms called as aerobic organisms. But some other organisms are there who does not use oxygen. So the oxygen using organisms you can see here, whether it is a plant or whether it is a animal, they are using the oxygen and releasing energy. You can see here sugar or glucose is used here and the oxygen is used, and as a result of respiration energy is being released and carbon dioxide and water are the byproduct. This is normally happens. That is a plant or animal. But there are certain other organisms that does not need oxygen at all. They are called as anaerobic organism, and such a type of respiration is called as anaerobic respiration. So basically, microorganisms only comes under anaerobic organisms. Can you able to identify this organism here? It is yeast, fungi, and lactobacillus. That also anaerobic organism. Okay. Now, different organisms, as we already have seen, various methods are there to produce energy. Various way they are using energy by the process of respiration. That means there are various organs are there to intake the oxygen to produce energy. So as you are seeing here in the case of caterpillar or any insects, so they have spiracles, the opening into the tracheal system. That is their mechanism of respiration. While the chicken or higher animals, so they have a very clear cut respiratory system is here by supported by lungs. So we can see here there is a difference in caterpillar. When we go into the other organisms, it will be different. So whatever it is, the first process is same. Whether it is a higher animal or a plant or a bacteria or a microbe, yeast, aerobic or anaerobic, the first process is same, where glucose is break down into pyruvic acid. So glucose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see 6 carbon molecule broken down by releasing energy and forms 2 pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid is a 3 carbon compound. So 2 pyruvic acid is formed from single glucose by producing little energy. So it can be done by aerobic or anaerobic organism. What is shown here is Clostridium botulinum. You know, the microbe working in the botulin production, poisonous material, botulin production, and the food poisoning and all. That is Clostridium botulinum, anaerobic example. Okay. So this all process, which all process? The conversion of glucose to pyruvic acid. This is actually called as glycolysis. Glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm. Whether I told you whether it is a bacteria or fungi or human being, plant, animals, this is common in all organisms, right? Glucose to pyruvic acid. When you come to the next level, that is a yeast-like organism, yeast and some other organisms, they will convert the pyruvic acid into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This is called as fermentation. This process is familiar to us. In our kitchen, yeast is one of the main ingredients to ferment the food, to make certain type of breakfast items. We are using yeast. Dosa preparation, idli preparation time, that little yeast is added. So it is fermented easily. Okay. When you get a dosa, why it have full of holes? Liberation of carbon dioxide is a byproduct that gives the hole in the dosa. Okay, so like the bread, cake, etc., the hole is because of cheese. It's all the product of anaerobic process. This hole is because of liberation of carbon dioxide. Another very important area where we involve or employ the yeast is, what is the industry? Brewery, beverages production, beverage industries, alcohol production, isn't it? Alcohol, drinking, whether it is drinking alcohol or wood spirit, whatever it is, alcohol production, yeast is one of the important ingredient. Wine production, from the cereals or from the foods, producing alcohol with the help of yeast. Okay. So the chemical reactions you can see here. Glucose, actually we can write here, there is a pyruvic acid here. From pyruvic acid into ethanol, carbon dioxide, energy. Okay, glucose to pyruvic acid to ethanol, then to carbon dioxide and energy. 2 ATP molecule energy is produced. This is what is called as fermentation, or we can say alcoholic fermentation. It is one of the important type of anaerobic respiration. Okay, so anaerobic process of respiration does in bacteria, some bacteria and yeast. Okay, without using oxygen, they produce the energy. But you see, we have noted down the energy, amount of energy they produce from one molecule of glucose is only 2 ATP molecules. Keep it in mind. Okay, only 2 ATP molecules. Here no oxygen is used, so it is called as anaerobic respiration. In this process, oxygen is not used, so it is an anaerobic respiration. Now let us see the what is other side, that is aerobic respiration. Okay, the aerobic respiration, how does it function? In this case, the pyruvate is broken down into the carbon dioxide and water and energy with the help of oxygen. That is a very important changes. Here also pyruvic acid is breaking down, energy is producing, carbon dioxide is here, water is here. But here the involvement of oxygen is here. Another very important area is where it is taking place. It is taking place in the mitochondria. We studied about mitochondria. Mitochondria are known as powerhouse of the cell because they can produce energy, store the energy and distribute the energy. So they called as the powerhouse of the cell. This is how they produce the energy. Which way? Pyruvic acid is broken down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water and energy. This is called as the aerobic respiration. So first step we told glucose to pyruvic acid, glycolysis is common in aerobic and anaerobic. Later there is a change. In yeast it forms ethanol and here it forms water and carbon dioxide. Complete breakdown. Okay, and this is happened in the mitochondria and this process is not required for us. Just I want to show you that it happened in the mitochondria. Okay, and this is the step of the process. Of course, we can say glucose plus oxygen converted into carbon dioxide, water and energy. Okay, can you read it in reverse? Okay, any type of energy plus water plus carbon dioxide forms glucose and oxygen. What is that? Carbon dioxide, water and sunlight produce glucose and oxygen. Photosynthesis. So aerobic respiration is almost opposite to that of photosynthesis. Sunlight is not producing, energy is producing here in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate structure. You have already studied ATP. But you see the amount of energy produced here, it is 36 ATP. What about yeast? Only 2 ATP. But we could able to produce, aerobic organism could able to produce 36 ATP from one glucose molecule. Okay. So that is a comparison we can write down. So aerobic releases 36 ATP molecule, anaerobic releases 2 ATP molecule from one molecule of glucose. So basic difference we can see, where does it takes place, how much energy is producing, what are the byproduct. Aerobic and anaerobic we can compare. Okay. Another type of respiration I am introducing to you. So when we do continuous hard work or running continuously, working something, playing for a long time, we feel pain in our muscles. So for that, because of the pain, we have stopped the running or stop the work or stop playing, etc. What is the reason? Why do you feel that pain? Again, the reason is accumulation of lactic acid in muscles. That causes the cramps, muscular cramps. Sometimes you may not be able to move at all. Next day, heavy pain, severe pain. Okay, this is muscular cramps because of accumulation of lactic acid in muscles. Then how do lactic acid forms there? Lactic acid is also formed as a result of another type of anaerobic respiration. What is that? In the absence of oxygen or during the lack of oxygen, pyruvate converted into lactic acid. So where does it happen? It does not happen in microbe naturally. It does not happen in plants. It does happen in the muscles of animals. Muscles of animals. So I told you glucose to pyruvate is a common process. Pyruvate to lactate it forms with a very little amount of energy, that is called as lactic acid fermentation. This is happen in our muscles. Okay. So that is about the different types. These are three different types of respiration. Aerobic respiration, you are using energy by using the oxygen, producing energy. One glucose molecule will yield 36 ATP molecules, while that of alcoholic fermentation in yeast produced 2 ATP molecule. Lactic acid anaerobic respiration that happen in the muscles of the mammals or higher animals, that also produce only 2 ATP molecules. Okay. So what we will do with this ATP molecules? We are using it for other endothermic reactions. Whatever the other reactions or activities happening in our body, we are using that. Even to just laying down and read something, we have to use a lot of energy. All our body systems need energy. Even for sleeping, we need energy. For that and all, we can use energy produced by the process of respiration. So this is the cellular respiration. Respiration happens at cellular level. Okay. Now, how the organism is acquiring the oxygen? How do we are acquiring the oxygen? How we get the oxygen? Different organisms have different methods. Different respiratory organs are there. So what is the respiratory organ here? There are lungs. All higher mammals, they are using lungs. Whether in water or in the air, lives in the water or in the terrestrial area, they use atmospheric air. And they have a special respiratory system is here. Not like bacteria or yeast, single cell. We have a respiratory system, a collection of a group of organs working together. That is called a respiratory system is here in the higher organisms. So first we will see how our plants will do respiration. Plant respiration. Do plants respire? Which gas plant respire? For respiration purpose, which gas plants uses? No. Every organisms, when they use a gas, that is oxygen, not carbon dioxide. Then it is their respiratory organ, breathing organ of plant. Okay, they can breathe through stomata, but they don't have a proper respiratory organ system like us. So not having a proper organs basically for respiration. And how do they manage this? See, some trees are too big, meters together. How do they manage the energy requirement of this much big trees? First one is they have large intercellular space. You look at here the cross section of a leaf. You can see they have large intercellular space. Air can pass through that. Every cell, almost every cell can direct contact with the cell. No need to pass from one cell to another cell. They can direct contact with the cell. Large intercellular space is one of the advantage of plants. They does not need a particular organ for respiration, breathing. And there are, if you watch the stem of the plants, really small cracks like this. This is a young stem. Small cracks you can see. Bigger stems you can see wider cracks. Older stems you can see wider cracks. Younger stems you can see the cracks like this. What is that? Special cells. They are called as lenticels. They are called as lenticels. There are lenticels in stem and leaves having stomata for gaseous exchange. Another very important thing, that is large number of dead cells. So this is a cut. What? See here, this much part we are using for furniture making and all. These all are dead cell. This full dead cell. Full dead. So no need of any type of oxygen, no need of energy. And this part is surviving, this part is living. Again the outer part is dead. Only very small part is surviving. This part is dead, this part is dead. You see, large number of dead cells, so the energy requirement and availability of oxygen is less. Necessity of oxygen is less. So they have stomata, thousands of stomata in the leaves, so they can intake the air. You can see again here the xylem. When you studied the xylem and phloem, the xylem, out of the 4 type of tissues in xylem, cells in xylem, 3 are dead. Only xylem parenchyma is living. Tracheids, vessels, and xylem parenchyma is the only living tissue. Remaining 3 are xylem fibers also dead. In phloem also, phloem fibers are dead. Sclerenchyma is dead. The bark of the plant is dead. Okay, only few type of living cells are there. And another one, the oxygen required for them. The oxygen required for them for respiration, they themselves produce. Just now we have seen. As a result of photosynthesis, they will produce oxygen. So a special ventilating organ for breathing or respiration is not required. These are the reasons. Please list out. Large number of dead cells are there. Every area will take care of themselves. Just like lenticel is there in stem and as root, leaves having stomata. Photosynthesis, they will produce oxygen. Energy requirement is less because activity is less. Large amount of dead cells. A lot of features why plant does not have a proper respiratory organ. Okay. Now we will go into the animals, the respiration in animals. Again, we'll come to that. Animals have various types of respiratory organs. In a very simple organisms like this, jellyfish, they can do with the diffusion. As they become more and more complex, they have diverse type of respiratory organs. Here they have book lungs, here they have lungs, like that it changes. Okay, so they have different type of respiratory organ depend on the complexity of their body systems and depend on where they are surviving. See, in earthworm, they have a moist skin or cuticle for exchange of gases. So let us see this table of organisms and their respiratory mechanisms. The sponges, cylinderates, flatworms. We have studied last year sponges, cylinderata, porifera, cylinderata, hydra, planaria, jellyfishes. Flatworms. Planaria is a flatworm. Taenia solium is a flatworm. They are using simple diffusion. Earthworm using moist cuticle or the skin. Aquatic animals, most of them having gills. Spider having buccal. Reptiles, birds, mammals use the advanced one. Energy requirement is more. We use lungs. Various types. Gills of fishes. Now let us see the aquatic animals. Again, what we are seeing that is aquatic animals. So they have to breathe. Not all. Just I told you the dolphin and as well as the higher mammalian aquatic animals. They have to take the atmospheric air. While the aquatic animals like fishes, they have to use the oxygen dissolved in water. They use oxygen dissolved in water. So what is the peculiarity? So they have the breathing mechanism specially designed for them. What is that? Gills. Another important feature is that is they have to breathe fast. They have to breathe faster. Because the reason why they have to breathe faster is dissolved oxygen is low in water compared to air. Why? The ability of oxygen to solubilize dissolved in water is less. We cannot dissolve oxygen in water much. So the amount of water, oxygen in air is always more than that of amount of oxygen in water. So they have, because of less amount of water in dissolved form, aquatic animal have to breathe faster. You have seen how do a fish is breathing. Okay, let us see how do fishes breathing.
Closes and the gill covers open. This action forces the... Unlike land animals, almost all fish breathe or get their oxygen from water. Instead of using lungs, fish breathe with organs called gills. Most fish have 4 pairs of gills enclosed in a gill chamber on each side of the head. On the outside of the body, a flap of bone called a gill cover protects the gills of bony fish. To get oxygen, fish gulp water through the mouth and pump it over the gills. In many fish, the breathing process begins when the gill covers close and the mouth opens. The walls of the mouth then move inward. The mouth partially closes and the gill covers open. This action forces the water from the mouth into the gill chambers. The inside of each gill consists of fleshy, thread-like filaments. Water from the mouth passes over the filaments. The filaments are closely spaced along a gill arch in 2 rows. Each filament has many tiny extensions called lamellae. Blood flowing through the lamella takes oxygen from the water and releases carbon dioxide into the water. After the fish receives its oxygen, the water passes out through the gill openings and the breathing process begins again.
So this is how the fish is managing to breathe. Again, I want to show you the gill filaments, structures, and as the video says, the water enter through this way, mouth, and pass through this gill filaments. So these very tiny filaments, and the filaments are supplied with rich with you can see the blood vessels. So these blood vessels can exchange the oxygen with carbon dioxide. Okay, oxygen taken from the air or water and give back the carbon dioxide. Now let us see how does it work in the terrestrial animals like us. How do we do the respiration? So our respiratory membrane have a peculiar feature. So what is that special feature of that? We have maximum surface area. Surface area it should be maximum because maximum exchange, chances of exchange. It should be thin surface. It should be moist and placed inside the body for protection. 4 important basic features respiratory membrane. So what we are seeing here is the cut open part of an alveolus. Alveolus are the balloon-like end of our airways. We'll discuss that. I'll be showing you that. So this is cut open part. You can see that it is very thin. We studied last year when we were studying about epithelial tissue, thin layer, squamous epithelium present in the alveoli, thinnest type of cells. How to create maximum surface area? I should be moist and it is protected, well protected. Our lungs are well protected. Let us see how they create a three basic features. First feature is we'll discuss that. So first of all, we'll see how does it start, the breathing process, the mechanism of breathing. How does it start? Oxygen is done through nostril. So we are intaking the air through the nostril part. Okay, into that. So the peculiar feature of the nostril is, what is that? We have lot of small minute hairs here in the nostrils. What they will do? They filter the air. Filter the air. Okay. And there is mucus lining here. Mucus lining inside. How we know there is mucus lining is there? Evidence is there. When you have common cold, nose running, what is happening? This mucus lining producing excess mucus to wash away the dust trapped there, or to wash away, remove the microbes that is infected there. So mucus lining is there, it will warm the air. How do we know that? Just hold your palm like this. Breathe out. Again. Is it warm? So this warmness, we have already learned that the warm air have more kinetic energy, better it can diffuse in the lungs, better it can diffuse. If it is warm, better it will diffuse. It is cold, less kinetic energy, less movement. So warmness and moist. How do you know that air is moist? Just exhale into a mirror close by. We can see the water vapor coming. Okay. So this is how the oxygen and as well as carbon dioxide. But one thing is I want to clear you. We are not intaking oxygen and we are not delivering carbon dioxide. That is what you have learned. What we are intaking? We are intaking the atmospheric air which containing nitrogen, which containing oxygen, which containing dust particles. These are we are intaking. But utilize only oxygen in our lungs. That not completely and release carbon dioxide. And all other air will coming out with less oxygen, more carbon dioxide. So what we have to relearn that we are taking air rich with oxygen and releasing with less oxygen and more carbon dioxide, exhaling. Got it? So in human respiratory system, you see the process of movement. Once it is from the nostrils, it enter into the nasal pharynx or nasal cavity. Then it goes to the trachea, the windpipe. There the trachea is lined with rings of cartilage. Why the rings of cartilage? You can see here the trachea right from the larynx till into the lungs. It is covered with the rings of cartilage. Cartilage is lined there. And one peculiarity of the cartilage in our throat, we can also feel. Just use your thumb and first finger in C shape and hold your neck like this. We can feel the cartilage. That is only ring C shape, not completely O shape or zero shape. Because it should not cause harm to the epiglottis, esophagus. So why it is a C-shaped cartilage here? It prevents from collapsing. See, it always keep it open. See the esophagus, you see, when food is not there, it is like this closed condition. But our cartilage, sorry, our windpipe, trachea should be always keep open. In order to that, it is attached to the C-shaped cartilaginous rings all through trachea to bronchi. Okay. Now, once the bronchi has inside the lungs, see, you can see here trachea, the bronchi branching into primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, then end up with a minute pipe-like structure called bronchiole. Where the bronchiole, terminal bronchiole end up with, they are end up with alveolar sacs. End up with alveolar sacs. So our lung is not like a balloon or not like a plastic carry bag. How does it like? The structure, how does the structure like? We can compare that with a piece of thermocol. A piece of thermocol, you break open and check what you can see. Small bolts stick together. Like that only here, small globular structures stick together. But every globular structure has an opening when pipe is here. That is that bronchiole is opening to every, these are small openings. This is how air enter into and is surrounded with blood capillaries. From there they can get the oxygen into the blood capillary, carbon dioxide back to the alveoli. So remember the structure of our lung. This is how this type of millions of alveoli is there in every lung that increases the surface area like anything. Do you know what is the surface area of human lung? It is equal to tennis court. Double, both side court. It is equal to tennis court. The surface area of human lung equal to tennis court. If you spread all the alveoli of both the lungs together, it will be that much big. Understood? Now why we are kept as a lung inside? How does it keep moist? Why does it thin? Because it is diffusion should happen. So that is why it is thin over here. So role of alveoli. Again I told you the same thing. Surface area for exchange of gases. As because it is very thin. As you see the thin surface. The surface area for exchange, you can see that the gases are getting exchanged between the blood and the alveoli. As the membrane is very thin. Squamous epithelium. Because the alveoli is covered with a network of blood capillaries. They will bring the carbon dioxide. The alveoli is having breathing air containing more oxygen. It is get exchanged. That is what the use of this thin layer of alveoli. Okay. Now this is about now how the air is getting inside and how does it goes inside lungs and the structure of lungs. Then we comes to the next area, that is mechanism of breathing. How do we take the air in and air out? Is it doing with a voluntary activity? Wishfully doing? No. Because when you are sleeping or closing eye or watching a film, you are watching feeling with a lot of interest. We forget even to breathe. We don't know that when we are sitting also. That time we may forget to breathe, we will die. Not happening because the breathing or pulmonary ventilation is an involuntary activities. It is happening without our wish. So what is a mechanism that? How does it happen? It's not a very simple, complicated activity. It's a very simple one. See, with the help of ribs and diaphragm, So what is diaphragm? Where is diaphragm? Diaphragm is below our lungs. There is a muscle that separate. You can see here. The diaphragm is here. That's a muscle that separate the upper cavity to lower cavity, thoracic cavity of the body to abdominal cavity. Now what is happening? Diaphragm is flattening. Means this diaphragm is here will become like this. Diaphragm is flattening. Rib is going up and front, expanding. So what will happen? When the volume is increasing in the thoracic cavity, are you getting or not? The rib cage is coming front and up, and diaphragm is going down. So the volume is increasing. When volume is increasing, what is the relation with the pressure? Volume increase, pressure decrease. Inside little less pressure, atmospheric air more pressure. Air will move from more pressure to less pressure without using much effort. Now let us do it. How does it work? Okay, all of you sit straight. Okay, take a deep breath. Wait. While breathing, just observe the change happen in our rib cage and change happen in our diaphragm. Diaphragm means just observe what is happening in our stomach, the feeling in our stomach. Okay, take a deep breath. I will also do. See what is happening to our rib cage. It is coming into the front and up. The rib cage is coming into front and up. Diaphragm going down. As rib cage is coming into front and up, diaphragm going down. More volume, less pressure, air rushes in. Inspiration. Now sit tight. Breathe out. So what is happening during a forceful breathing out to the rib cage? The rib cage is coming opposite to that. What happened? Back and down. And diaphragm normal state. Up. So what happened? It is coming down and back. It is coming up. Diaphragm up. So volume is less. Volume is less. Pressure is more. Air goes out. That is called as exhalation. So this is what is inhalation and exhalation. Got it? So you can write the mechanism, steps of inhalation and steps of exhalation. Now, that is the role of blood. What? To bring the carbon dioxide. From where they will bring carbon dioxide? From the body. Body. And the body, what? Just we had studied the mechanism of or cellular level of breathing or respiration. What is happening? Using oxygen and breaking down glucose and release carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide body cannot keep the carbon dioxide. It is poisonous. So it has to release out. So the blood carries the carbon dioxide and rushes back to the lungs. Come on. So it comes through the heart. The heart will pump into the lungs, where the lungs will ventilate it. They will receive the carbon dioxide and give the oxygen. With that oxygen, the blood again go to the heart. Heart will pump into the whole body. This is what happened. Okay. So this exchange is happening in the alveolar blood vessels between oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Gaseous exchange. Now, any time our lung do collapse, it never happens, because our lung is always having a residual volume of air. What is the residual volume of air? Volume of air always remain in the lungs even after a forceful expiration. So don't need to worry about this graphical representation. Given those who are interested can go to that. You see here, a normal breathing will have 2.5. When you breathe out, we'll have 2.5 liters of air in our lungs. When you breathe in normally, we have 3. So 500 ml normally we will breathe in, breathe out. Okay, that is normal breathing. But when you breathe in forcefully, so what will happen? We can breathe in up to 5 liters. Okay, so this is release everything, it will become 2.5. Again, we breathe out forcefully. We can go up to 1.25. We cannot breathe out beyond 1.25. Always a 1.25 liters of air will be there in the lungs. That is called as residual volume. Residual volume always there in the lungs. So to ensure the breathing or gaseous exchange, residual volume of air will be there. Okay. Now, when animals are bigger, the smaller organisms like this, flatworms and all, you have seen that through diffusion that oxygen will go into different part of the body. When animal become bigger, the diffusion alone is not sufficient to transport the gases. Then how do we transport the gas? Okay, from the lungs, how do we transport it into every cell? Because every cell we require what? Oxygen. How do we make the air or oxygen to just each and every cell? For that, we are having respiratory pigment in the blood that is called as hemoglobin. So, what we learn about hemoglobin? Hemoglobin give red color to the RBC. Of course, it gives red color, but that is not a function of hemoglobin. Their main function is to transport mainly oxygen and carbon dioxide. The role of hemoglobin is transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. So it is just like it will go from lungs to the tissues by carrying oxygen. While coming back, it will bring carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. But this is the structure of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a proteinaceous structure. Detail is not required for us. Just to understand, I have just shown you. But another way is also there. The carbon dioxide can mainly transport in the dissolved form in plasma. What is the difference now here? Oxygen mainly transported by RBC. RBC or hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a part of RBC. So oxygen is transported by hemoglobin of RBC, while carbon dioxide is mainly transported by plasma in dissolved form. Not oxygen in plasma. Oxygen in plasma is very less and carbon dioxide in hemoglobin is less. Why? Carbon dioxide is more soluble in plasma or in liquid than oxygen. That already told. Solubility of oxygen is less, but that of carbon dioxide is more. So carbon dioxide can be transported in the dissolved form in plasma and with the hemoglobin, but oxygen mainly can transported by hemoglobin. So this is about our respiratory system.